rip. We're going to talk about credibility today, building credibility, killing credibility. A lot of the principles that we're going to talk about are picked and sourced from other elements of things that we talk about at Monopolize Your Marketplace, but we're bringing them all together into this one topic called credibility. Think about it for just a minute. Here's what I really want you to think about and look at your own business with sort of a critical eye, not critical in the terms of negative, but just are you doing things that are building the credibility that you want for your company? Because here's the issue that's at stake with remodeling companies in particular. You've got a huge disadvantage in your marketing situation compared to other types of companies around town, the pizza parlor and the car wash and whatever else there might be. And that thing is that nobody's ever heard of you before. Nobody buys home improvements very often, so nobody really knows who the players are. So everybody is starting out sort of in a sketchy mode. The remodeling industry has a bad reputation. It goes back decades. It doesn't necessarily mean that your company does anything good or bad or anything like that. It just means that the industry's reputation is not necessarily good. It's kind of like walking into an auto repair shop. You're automatically suspicious just because of the reputation of the industry. Again, doesn't mean that your company doesn't do things in a spectacular fashion. It just means that people don't know. And what they do know is typically not good based on what they've heard about the industry or perhaps other experiences that they've had. So building credibility is really the all-important issue. When we start talking about things like identity and conversion tools on websites, we're really talking about building credibility. So again, like I said, we're sort of taking some similar and familiar concepts from MYM and we're putting them into this one topic called credibility, because I want you to just think about it very, very specifically as it relates to your business. Do you come across as a credible business? Is confidence and trust inspired based on what evidence people can gather about your company? And here's what you need to realize about that. The only evidence that they can gather about your company is, generally speaking, not always, but generally speaking, it's the things that you make available for them to look at and observe and interact with, and their experience with your company on whatever level that is, whether it's a marketing or talking to somebody over the phone, sales environment. There are some third-party issues in terms of customer reviews or things that they may have heard from neighbors or other people in the community. But for the most part, the credibility is going to be built by things that you put in place that are going to allow you to build this credibility or potentially to kill it. We'll talk about killing credibility briefly at the end, but we got a lot to cover. So let's go ahead and jump in. 5 ways to build credibility. The ignition code, you've heard me talk about that before. We'll cover it briefly here. I'm not going to show you a video because I've actually shown it pretty recently, but we do want to talk about it. Drawing a line in the sand, using powerful language, social proof, and evidence, okay? And if you look at this list, you say, hey, these kind of look like the conversionability tools, and they do, because the idea on a website to get conversion is really to build credibility. So we'll go through that, and I'll give you some ideas, ways you might be killing it, the devil's in the details. We'll talk about killing credibility, again, briefly at the end. At the very end of this, I'm going to show you a video. It's one of my favorite clips from my favorite movie. The movie is Lonesome Dove, the 1988 6-hour-long cowboy western. And there's a great scene in there about respect and treating people right that I'll show you. It's a short clip. It's about a minute or two long, but we'll sort of conclude with that. And with that said, let's look at the lesson of the ignition code. If you weren't on a webinar that I did recently, I can't remember how recently, sometime in the last month, I went through this. I showed this idea of the ignition code. We were doing a webinar on overcoming price objection, and this was one of the major points. And I want to make it again here. It comes from a movie called The Transporter, starring Jason Statham. This is a photo on the screen of him in this car that he's driving. Actually, I think it's a little bit different car, but the idea is that he's a guy that's a transporter. If you're not familiar with the story, you may want to go and Google or do a YouTube search and find the opening sequence of the movie The Transporter, where you can watch the bank robbery scene. And in a nutshell, the bank robbers come out, they get in the car. This guy is the transporter. In other words, he's the getaway driver for hire. He doesn't necessarily know these guys. He's just for hire transporter. He's got a tremendous set of skills that he can drive, and his reputation is that he can get people out of any jam with the police. He's a good getaway driver. And as the story goes, he has tuned his car to the exact specifications that are going to be required to get his bank robbers safely out of the grasp of the police. In terms of, he's put the right kind of tires on the car, the right type of shock absorbers on the car, he's put the proper amount of gasoline in the car, and these other fine tunings that most normal people probably wouldn't think about. And when the bank robbers come out of the bank, they jump into the car, and there's 4 of them, 1 in the front seat and 3 in the back seat. And he looks over at him and says, hey, you know what? The deal was for 3 passengers, 254 kilograms, and you've got 4 passengers. And the lead bank robber in the front seat gets a little bit upset and says, hey, we'll just drive the car. It's a new deal. And he starts to talk to him in a very calm tone. He says, look, I've tuned this car with the right shock absorbers, the right amount of gasoline. Everything has been prepared for 3 passengers, 254 kilograms. We've got 4 men. The car's too heavy. It's not going to perform exactly the way I need it to. And he's sort of giving an idea of the precision that goes into his art of eluding the police. And he essentially says, I'm not driving this car until the original deal, which was 3 men, 254 kilograms, is met. And the bank robber puts a gun to his head and says, well, it's a new deal. You're going to drive. And he looks him in the eye and he says, well, who's going to drive the car if you shoot me? And a guy in the back seat says, well, just shoot him. I'll drive the car. And he looks at the bank robbers and he says, not without the ignition code, you won't. And at that point, they realize that the car is not turned on. And to turn it on in this particular car, remember, he's a professional, you have to punch a code into a console that's on the middle of the 2 front seats if you want to start the car. And they realize that without this guy and without doing exactly what he says, they've got no hope. They have to comply with what he wants them to do. So in a moment of either inspired leadership or hasty decision-making, you make the call. The front seat ringleader bank robber turns around and shoots one of his compadres in the back seat. They throw his body out onto the ground, close the door, and they take off, and they endure the most amazing car chase you could ever imagine. It's actually quite ridiculous. If you'd like to watch it for fun, again, you can probably find it on YouTube. So anyway, this is called the ignition code. The idea here is that confidence comes from knowing that you are the best. This is where confidence starts. This is where trust and credibility starts. If you are in your own mind just another provider, just another roofing company, just another siding company, just another window installer, then it's going to be hard to exude and ooze confidence and hence credibility and hence trust, because you don't have the conviction that says that you're the best. So it all starts with being the best, okay? And there's a good quote that I'll show you here on the next slide. What convinces is conviction. It's a quote from Lyndon B. Johnson, but I also want you to pay attention to this last bullet point. It's this idea of massive preparation. You don't become the best by just showing up. There's no such thing as natural talent that's going to get you to winning the championship, so to speak, to use a sports metaphor. It's massive preparation, it's massive attention to detail, and it's a massive systemization that allows you to know that you're absolutely the best. You know, I was talking to one of my clients, a large kitchen and bath remodeling company, and they reached a sales plateau 2 years ago, and they stayed at that plateau last year, and they didn't grow after 4 or 5 years of rapid growth. And the reason that they did not continue to grow is they realized that they could not continue to be the best until they put newer and better and more robust systems in place to be able to fulfill a larger quantity of business above that plateau that they had reached. So they didn't shut down their business, but they shut down the growth part of their business. They were able to fulfill the certain level that they had reached, but they refused to go higher than that until they had put the systems in place, and that required some computer systems that would help them manage and control their workflow. It included getting some different people into key management positions. It included putting some protocols in place that those managers could use. And they got all that in place during 2014. And now in 2015, they're flipping the switch back onto growth mode because they now can go out to the marketplace with confidence, knowing that they are the best at what they do. And I think that's a very admirable quality. It's not always easy to slow it down and to tap the brakes, but if you don't have that conviction, it's really tough. According to Lyndon B. Johnson, what convinces is conviction. Believe in the argument you're advancing. If you don't, you're as good as dead. The other person will sense that something isn't there, and no chain of reasoning, no matter how logical or elegant or brilliant, will win your case for you. What convinces is conviction. Okay, I don't want to beat this dead horse, so let's keep moving on. I want you to look at your own company, though, and consider what is your ignition code. You have to know that you're better. What do you do that's quantifiably better than anyone else? And the answer better be something. It better be something, right? What is it? I was having a discussion this morning with my team on the concept of us going out, and we put quite a bit of effort in the past, a little bit of effort, and moving forward, a lot of effort into getting speaking engagements where we can get in front of other groups of remodelers, whether it be at a NARI chapter or a National Home Builder Remodeling Association or manufacturers, whatever the case is. There's industry shows and things like that. And the conversation went like this. I was getting a report that our main point man that's on the phone talking to these guys was running into trouble. And the trouble was that people didn't really feel that excited about what we were doing. And I said, I don't understand that. How is it possible that people are not excited? Because I know enough about this industry. I've been around this industry long enough. I know a couple of things. Number one, everybody's interested in marketing. Everybody is. Number two, there's not very much good marketing information out there. So the fact that we're showing up saying, hey, we've got marketing information, and it's not getting a door open to talk to people was very confusing to me. And I said, what is your guy, I was talking to the team leader, I said, what is your guy saying when he's on the phone? And he said, oh, well, we're talking about, conversionability and identity and making the internet work. And I said, okay, this is our problem right here. We're using terms that are not exciting people, and they don't show our confidence. Here's the confidence that we want people to hear. Do you have problems getting leads? Are you struggling to get leads like you used to before the recession? Are you having a problem getting enough business? We're going to help you fix that problem. That's the end. That's what people want to hear, and that's what we do. And the confidence has to be there and spoken in terms of the way that people could actually understand it. And I'm going to revisit that example a little bit later on. I'm going to keep moving right now, though. What could you innovate to give yourself an ignition code level advantage? What could you do? Think about that. If you don't have an ignition code, then everything else is going to fall flat. Now, once you do have an ignition code, it's time to draw a line. Well, what does it mean to draw a line? Well, the old adage that you can't be everything to everyone is, in my opinion, it's absolutely true. You have to decide what you want to stand for. What do you want to be? Who do you want to serve? Specifically, carve out a niche and forget everybody else, okay? This is going to give you a ton of credibility with that relatively small group. So think about yourself in terms of a window company or a roofing company or a kitchen remodeling company. What part of the market do you want to serve? What do you want to be known as? What is it that your ignition code leads you to be known for, that you can go and service that one thing? You're going to become their John Wayne. You're going to be the cowboy. We're going to have a cowboy team. Here's the line in the sand illustration. Here's what we are, and here's what we are not. On this side of the sand, we do this. On that side of the sand, we don't do it. We're not interested in it. We don't want to talk about it. Go find somebody else. In fact, here's a list of people that can do that for you. We don't do that. We do this. And we do this really, really well. Do you want that? Great. Here's a list, okay? It's about finding the hottest hot button. Now, if you wanted to get a little detailed on me here, you could go through the MYM methodology, list and rank the various hot buttons. Now, that kind of opens a can of worms for me here in terms of, do we really want to spend time talking about that? And the answer is no, we don't right now. But here's what it simply means. We want to find the hot buttons. when it comes to what are the things that you do well, we want to find, if you were building a case and presenting it to court, we would want to know what is the most important thing, second most important thing, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and so on. And we want to start with the most important. We call these hot buttons, okay? What is the hottest hot button? What are the ones that are most important to the customer? Which ones do you have a natural knack for? Which ones could you most easily innovate? And this goes back to your ignition code and knowing who you are and what you're all about and what you want to do, and then really focusing in on whatever it is that is the hottest hot button, okay? You're building a case, making points that can be used in your marketing, and I want to show you some examples of this, okay? This is what you're going to be freaking known for. Whatever it is that you want to be known for, that's what we want your marketing to focus on and we want your company to focus on. Okay, and I'm going to give you an example of this in just a few minutes. I'm going to talk about power words, but I want you to keep this in mind. I'm going to give you an example of a company that I talked to that was a kitchen remodeling company. And when I had a discussion with them in an identity consultation, I asked them the question, well, what is it that you're known for? What are you good at? What are you best at? You know, what makes you tick? And the guy said, you know, after a little bit of discussion, he said, we're really good at doing artistic kitchens. I said, well, what's an artistic kitchen? He said, well, it's not just the typical standard issue kind of a kitchen. Lots of remodelers can make really, really nice kitchens. You know, you use a nice granite, you do a nice cabinet. It's not that uncommon that companies can create a really high-end, nice kitchen. He said, but we add artistic touches in terms of millwork, cabinetry, tile work, mosaics, things like that. And I said, okay. And I looked at his website, and I didn't see any of that stuff. It wasn't talked about. It wasn't evident. It wasn't obvious. Now, if you knew to look, you could see in some of the pictures that there was some of that artistic stuff, but a lot of the kitchens look, you know, pretty regular, a lot of the photos. And I said, well, I don't even see this here. And he said, oh, well, click to this page, and then, oh, okay, now click on this link. Okay, now on that page, click on this. And about 4 or 5 clicks in, I got to a set of photos that were just the most gorgeous, beautiful, artistic, and I understood finally what he meant, kitchens. And he said, that's what I'm known for. And I said, well, why is it buried 5 links deep on your website? That's dumb. And he said, yeah, good point. So let's talk about that in just a minute. First, though, let's talk about power words, because this is how you're going to communicate what you do. When you speak with power, people are going to believe you're powerful. They're going to be drawn to you. Your character and competency aren't questioned when you speak with power. My experience is when you speak with power, you're going to stand out from the crowd. Why? It's by contrast, because most people do not speak with power. Most people speak with timidity or with a normal tone of voice. It doesn't mean that every time you open your pie hole, you need to be spewing something that is overly powerful. It's like a symphony, okay? I'm no symphony guy. I'm not an expert on symphonies, but I've heard some symphonies, okay? And think about it. If the entire symphony was little dainty, soft, frilly, spring-sounding notes, that wouldn't be very interesting. And if the entire symphony was the giant, climactic, loud, thundering roar of the symphony, that would probably be overblown. A symphony that is a good symphony has a combination, and it uses the contrast to allow you to appreciate the parts that are a little bit more, you know, I'll use the word heavy-handed. That's probably not the right word, but you understand my point. There's got to be a contrast. But in speaking, we want to use the heavy, climactic, powerful language, but we need to use it in bursts. We need to use it appropriately in the context where it makes a difference, not all the time, but we do need to have some powerful language, okay? Power talk, you're going to be more believable and credible. And some of the principles of power talk, number 1 is specificity. Specificity will gain you more credibility than just about anything else that you can do. Now, what do I mean by specificity? Talking in terms of specific details, using stories that have high levels of specificity. There's a speaker that I like in a church setting. He's one of the leaders of the Mormon church, and he's out of Salt Lake City, and he tells a lot of stories when he speaks. He's a very powerful speaker for a lot of different reasons, but one of the reasons is anytime he tells a story, the guy's old, he's like in his 80s, late 80s, I think. anytime he tells a story, he'll be telling a story from when he was 13 years old, and he will always use the full name of the people, the full name of the places, and the proper noun details are always word perfect, so that when you hear the stories, you know that he's not just making it up. Not that you think he would be making it up. That's really not the point. It's the added credibility that comes from using specific details. I'm going to encourage you in your business to use specific details. We wrote an identity one time for one of our roofing clients, and it started off with a little story. It says 6 nails in every shingle. And then we went on to explain how manufacturer specifications call for 6 nails. A lot of guys cut corners. They only put 4 nails or 5 nails. And the reason is because they can save $3 or $4 on nails. They can save $80 to $100 in labor over the course of a roof by skimping on the number of nails that go in. And those type of cut corners, 4 nails instead of 6, are just an example of other corners that are also cut. And if you multiply that cut corner by 5 or 10 or 15 other cut corners, then you start to have a problem on your roof. But we didn't go through all the different 15 corners that people cut. We used one as an example, but it was a very specific one, and people could visualize and paint a mental picture in their mind of a shingle with only 4 nails instead of the required 6 nails, and they could start to draw that conclusion. And it starts to draw a conclusion of credibility and of competency and of character and of workmanship, right? Be specific. Number 2, acknowledge people's concerns. The best way to lose credibility is to know that people have specific concerns and fail to acknowledge them. I prefer in marketing to hit the concerns head on. Now, this is a big part of marketing, and that's why we're having discussions, and that's why you come to trainings like this. So I'm not going to give you all the details of this, but I want you to just think about it for a minute. What concerns do people have at a given moment in the marketing progression? You say, well, what do you mean during a given moment of the marketing progression? Well, if they come to your website and they're seeing your homepage for the first time, and you say something like, we remodeled bathrooms in just one day, then the immediate concern that would bring to somebody's mind is, well, what about the quality? Yeah, you can do it fast, but are you doing it at the expense of quality? And so we would want to address that. It's a concept of anticipating concerns based on the current context of the marketing discussion, and then acknowledging and answering those concerns on an as-needed basis, okay? One of the things, just to give you a random example, I saw an email or something on Facebook, I think, about a phone case that has a very high-end speaker system built into it. So in other words, you clip this onto your iPhone, and it's got a speaker that comes out at the top, and it's got a speaker that comes out the bottom. It's got a battery pack on the back. And the idea, I haven't actually seen this device, but I just saw the marketing for it. The device gives you great audio so that you don't have to, pair to a Bluetooth speaker or whatever the case is. Also, it allows you to use it as a speakerphone with high resolution audio. And I'm looking at it, and my major concern, overwhelming concern when I looked at it, didn't really care about the price. It was $100. I thought that seemed like a fair price for a device like that. But my biggest concern was, I'm carrying an iPhone 6 Plus around. And I thought, wow, that extra, inch or so and a little bit thicker with that battery pack, that's going to take an already large and cumbersome phone and make it unbearable almost. And so sure enough, the marketers were smart enough to immediately address that concern. One of the biggest concerns people have about this is the size. Does it make it so it doesn't fit in your pocket? Is it too heavy? And it addressed the concern. I won't go into the details of how it addressed it, but the fact that it didn't just ignore it. See, if they would have ignored that and said, oh, well, geez, this is great. It's got a great audio. It'll charge your battery, blah, blah, blah. If they didn't address that main concern, the credibility would have been shot, because it would have been a sign that they were hiding from that concern. and that my concern was valid because they didn't want to acknowledge it. But by acknowledging it, it sort of opens the floodgates of credibility and confidence, okay? Tell stories when appropriate, having a strong opinion, don't mince words, tell it like it is. People are looking for expert advice. That's what they want. Give it to them. Use plain English when you do it. Elevate your attitude, not to being condescending or being a jerk or anything like that, but just let people know by your tone of voice and your attitude that you believe what you're saying, okay? I'm not going to use that example. Customer's advocate, giving genuine advice. My opinion is that confidence isn't cocky. As a matter of fact, now that's a fine line that you've got to look at. You've got to straddle that. You don't want to be on the cocky side of the line. You want to be on the confident side of the line, okay? Power words, juicy words. I'll show you some of those in just a minute. Concede faults or downside. Again, this is a sort of a reciprocal or an extended version of this idea of acknowledging concerns. Acknowledge them. You don't want to let concerns go undiscussed, okay? So let's combine drawing a line and power talk. So first, an example of a box company. This is a company that I worked with years ago, and I actually worked with them last month. We created a video for them, but did the majority of the work for this company, oh gosh, 15 years ago when we did a lot of stuff. And then I guess about 5 years ago, we did some more stuff for them. And then most recently, we created a video. But this is a company that has the ability to deliver boxes fast, okay? They have emergency rush service for their best customers. And we decided, well, why don't you make this emergency rush service available to anybody, anytime? It would be a great door opener. Because think about it, if you're a box user, when I'm talking about boxes, I'm talking about manufacturers that have stuff rolling off their assembly lines that they need to put into shipping containers to get to stores, okay? Not like here's one thing, but here's a box of things that you're going to now unpack and sell at your store. They sell those boxes, the big brown cardboard boxes, okay? And think about the situation where somebody would well, back up. Think about the situation of the manufacturer. They already have a box company. Obviously, they can't manufacture stuff without having a box to put them in. So it's very difficult to come in there and say, hey, let us take your box business, because they already have an entrenched relationship with that vendor. But this company does something very, very different. In fact, they've got this ignition code called, we can custom design, manufacture, and deliver boxes to your dock in 4 hours, and we'll guarantee it. If we don't do it, it's free. This is a very unique proposition. So what we do in a marketing environment, instead of saying, hey, let us be your box company, look how great we are, we're so good, blah, 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 we say, hey, you've already got a box company, we understand that, but if you ever run into a problem and you need boxes quickly because you've run out for some reason, then give us a call. We'll design it, manufacture it, and deliver it to your dock in 4 hours or less. Very unique concept. Nobody else saying anything like it, okay? So the line is, we're the fast box company. Are we the cheapest box company? Heck no, we're not the cheapest box company. Okay, so we put together a couple logos that would indicate, fast. Look at the logo. It has a box that appears to be moving fast. Custom boxes on your dock in just 4 hours guaranteed. Those are the two logos. We got a logo for the company and a logo for the service. So some headlines. When DFW's biggest companies, DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth, companies need boxes now, here's who they call. Who ever heard of ordering a custom box and having it ready on your dock in just 4 hours? Whose fault is it when you run out of boxes and your line shuts down? I say it's your box supplier's fault. So we throw a little jab at their existing supplier. Have you ever been shellacked by your boss for running out of boxes when your line shutting down? Revolutionary new box making system developed. Any box custom made from scratch and delivered to your dock within 4 hours guaranteed. Okay, get the idea? To purchasing agents who never ever want to run out of boxes again. Notice the line in the sand. This is what we do. This is what we're known for. This is what we want you to know about us. How to have custom boxes delivered to your dock in just 4 hours or less. Now, again, here's what we're doing. We're sitting around waiting for our prospective customers to have a problem that we can solve, which is they're out of boxes. They need them quick. And when they need those boxes quick, what are the chances that this company is going to get the phone call? Answer, very high. And all we want is a toe in the door, because here's the reality. The companies that are getting these marketing pieces, these mailers, they're companies that represent $500,000 to $5 million a year in box revenue, okay? large companies that order a lot of boxes. You say, well, who orders that many boxes? The answer is companies like Motorola and Intel and, I don't know, any number of Sony, some of their customers, just to give you an idea. Purchasing managers who have never run out of boxes and had to shut down a production line are not invited to read this card. Custom boxes on your dog are just 4 hours or they're free. Suppose you unexpectedly ran out of boxes and caused your production line to shut down for 3 days. If your box supplier is late, you could get fired. Take this precautionary move and rest assured you'll never run out of boxes again. By the 13th card, people are going to start to get an idea. This company can do this. Run out of boxes and have to shut down your production lines. Here's 4 excuses that'll work with your boss and 3 that won't. Speed and reliability, 2 things your current box supplier hopes and prays you'll never ask them to do. How to cram a box supply order that normally takes 6 days down to just 4 hours. It only takes 1 phone call. Then we put together letters. Okay, you see this is from a long time ago. This is from 1999. Still in use, similar tactics by this company today. I can personally guarantee that you'll never run out of shipping boxes again, even in your most critical time-sensitive situations. Dear Jim, if you've ever been in a box emergency before where you've had to shut down your production lines because you're out of boxes, then this letter might be of particular interest to you. Now, here's what we know. Pretty much every single person that we're sending this to understands this situation. They've had it before. My name is David. I'm the CEO of Banner Box. We do something for our clients that's very unique in this industry, and that we can design, create, and deliver custom boxes to your dog in 4 hours or less, and we guarantee it. I know that a company like yours has well-established box vendors. Acknowledge. But when you get in an emergency, we will bail you out. All caps underlined. We will bail you out. Power statement. We will bail you out. I realize you already have a box supplier. I know you're probably satisfied with the performance. I understand that using a new vendor can be a hassle, but if you ever get into a situation where you need boxes fast, please give us a call. We will have boxes to you in no more than 4 hours. Enclosed is a copy of a short audio tape that tells you how old this is. Okay. So then we put together these that we would, we actually used to fax these out in the old days, and then we switched to the letters and then the postcards. Purchasing managers who have never run out of boxes and had to shut down production lines are not invited to read this message. Suppose you unexpectedly ran out of boxes and had to shut down your production line for 3 days. Do you have a backup plan? Don't let a depleted supply of shipping boxes shut down your assembly. I'm going to go back. I want you to, it's easy to look at this and say, well, what is this format? This is not pretty. Who would you send this to? I don't understand. I'm not in the box business. I don't ship Sony phones. I want you to put yourself in the position of the purchasing manager who did unexpectedly run out of boxes and who had to shut down his production line for 3 days. Do you have a backup plan? You say, well, how would that even happen? How would a guy unexpectedly run out of boxes? How would a guy not have that plan in place? And the answer is, it happens. It happens more often than you think. And when they see this, that's the line in the sand, right? We can do it fast. All right, never run out of shipping boxes again. I don't need to show you too many more of these. I like this one. If your box supplier is late, you can get fired. Okay, we already saw these headlines. This is just what they kind of look like. How to cram a box order that normally takes 6 days to 4 hours. It only takes 1 phone call. This is a good one. Where in the blank is my blanking box order? And then we put them on the postcards. And again, the design's not beautiful, but this works. Okay. 10 years later, the selling environment had changed. They're much bigger, wanted to focus on larger customers, Fortune 500. The customers thought they cared about price. So the line in the sand is we deliver the lowest price. This is what they wanted people to know. Now, the reality is their boxes on a per box basis, $1.27 versus $1.33, were not the lowest price. But in terms of total cost of doing business, they were very, very much lower. So we came in with a different message because we just want to open the door. And if we can get in the door, then we can go in and talk about how we do things to get the prices lowest. We need to get down and dirty with packaging pricing. We don't just claim to have the lowest packaging pricing. We unconditionally guarantee it. Lowest packaging prices, period, bar none, end of discussion. Introducing the packaging industry's first and only unconditional lowest price guarantee. Only one packaging company offers an unconditional low price guarantee, etc. Introducing the packaging industry's first and only unconditional low price guarantee. Zero inventory. Not just a cute catchphrase with Banna, it's a reality. How we can help you reduce or eliminate packaging inventory costs. And then you start to see that we're transitioning this message a little bit to here's how we create the lowest cost. It's not necessarily about the pennies for each box. It's how we eliminate your inventory. We can deliver up to 24 times a day. I want you to think about that for a second. They can deliver boxes to their customers 24 times a day. They keep the inventory at their plant. The customer only orders exactly what they need at that exact moment, okay? Zero inventory, consignment inventory, price pulling, Kanban, DMI, JIT, those are things that people in their industry understand. Need 12 deliveries a day, how about 24? On-site customer service rep, middle of the night assistance, emergency, rush shipments, multiple day deliveries, no problem. Okay, let's move to the next thing here. Life insurance investing. Make sure we've got time. We need to speed up here. Okay, company that sells an insurance product called Universal Index Life. It is 5% an insurance policy, but it's 95% an investment vehicle. Okay, and it competes against 401ks and IRAs. And the reason it competes well is because it has far greater tax advantages and far greater risk avoidance advantages, meaning specifically that the Index Universal Life will grow over time with zero risk to the principal because it has a 0% floor. In other words, it's indexed to the S&P 500, but if the market goes down 25% or even 4% in a year, the insurance company guarantees that your loss will be a maximum of 0. So in other words, if it's a 1% gain for the year, then you get 1%. If it's 2% loss, you're going to only stay even. It's a 0% floor, and so there's no risk of you losing principal. The other thing is tax advantages. Okay, tax advantages meaning that your investment grows tax-free. You can take it to use it at retirement tax-free, and you can pass it on to your heirs when you die tax-free. Compare that to your 401k. It's going to grow tax-free, but when you go to take out your money when you retire, the government's going to take their 20 to 50% cut, depending on what taxes do and depending on your tax bracket at that time. With this Index Universal Life, this IUL, when you take out your money at retirement, you keep 100% of it instead of a fractional percent of it. It's got great advantages, okay? Nobody wants to buy insurance as an investment unless they have to, though. That's what people think. So here's the line in the sand. You'd have to be a freaking idiot to use a 401k. That's what we want people to know, okay? Now here's what a radio commercial sounds like. If you've got a 401k, an IRA, or a pension plan, I've got some really bad news for you. The IRS wants you to think that these so-called qualified plans are the best way to save for retirement. They give you a tax break when you contribute. Sounds good, right? Wrong. Qualified plan is almost the worst thing you could do because you'll be taxed out of your gourd when you retire and need the money. There's a better way. There's an IRS-approved way to fund retirement savings that beats the pants off your IRA or 401k. It's been around for years. Your money grows tax-free but has no taxes at retirement. No taxes when you die and no taxes when passed on to your heirs. Oh, by the way, there's no risk that your money will lose principal. If the market tanks, like 2008, you lose nothing. If you're intrigued, call for this DVD, okay? And then we put together a video, and the video is very powerful. And I don't think I need to read through this one to give you the full 9 yards on this, but suffice it to say, this powerful line in the sand is that if you have a 401k, you're pretty much stupid, okay? Company helps people choose. You know what? I think I'm going to forego this example. I've got some other things that I need to get to. So let me do a little pause-a-rooney. And let's get here to the kitchen remodeler. All right. Do you want to be the quality guy? You can't be the artistic guy. You can't be the low price guy. You can't be the fast guy, and vice versa. Which guy do you want to be? Now, if you're a woman, then you want to be a gal, not a guy, obviously. But go with me here. When I look out in the seminar training rooms that I do, I see about 90% men. So it's a fair, pretty safe assessment that most of you are guys. But which guy do you want to be? Do you want to be the quality guy? Then don't try to be the artistic guy or the low price guy or the fast guy. Do you want to be the artistic guy? Then don't try to be the quality, low price, or fast guy. You want to be the low price guy? Then don't try to be the quality, artistic, or fast guy. You want to be the fast guy? Then don't try to be the quality, artistic, or low price guy. Doesn't mean that you can't have artistic and quality and fast, but you want to be known as something. What is it you want to be known as? Hear me loud and clear. Yes, you can be low price and quality. or quality and low price, or artistic and fast. But what I want you to take out of this discussion is you want to be known for one of those things first and foremost, okay? You've got to draw a line in the sand, proclaim to the world, hey, this is what we do. This is our deal, okay? It's your position in the marketplace. So let's look at artistic. This is an ad I put together, and I've had people look at this ad and say, I hate this ad. Well, I don't care if you hate this ad. I really don't. Here's what I care about. When people see this print ad, does it give them an idea of what we're trying to communicate? Well, let's look at it. Yowza, interesting, unique, artistic, colorful, pizzazz, moxie style, vim, flair, specializing in breathtaking kitchens since 1984. And then a tagline at the bottom that says, we hate ordinary. Now, what do you think you're going to get from a company that would run that ad? And the answer is probably something pretty unique. Here's another version of this ad where we take the same group of words. It's actually a little bit different. You'll notice if you compare them side by side. And then in color emphasizing fashion, dull, drab, mundane, ordinary, boring, common, everyday, blah. What kind of kitchen makeover do you want? We hate ordinary. And see what I'm doing? I'm drawing a line in the sand. I don't even have any other words on this. I'm not using some big long paragraph to say, hey, if you want it to be artistic, we're the ones that blah, blah, blah. I'm drawing a big fat line in the sand and saying, that's them, this is us, we hate ordinary. If you're interested, let us know. And it works. Okay, we've won every remodeling award that matters. We list all the awards because style, energy, flair, verve, and panache matter. There are 500 willing and able contractors on standby, ready for your standard issue kitchen remodel. We're not one of them. I only do interesting, unusual, colorful, and exciting. That's it. We specialize in wow. Kitchens with moxie for people with panache. There are 500 willing and able contractors on standby to give you a standard issue kitchen remodel. We're not one of them. We hate ordinary. Call for your free design portfolio. This is an ad that makes the freaking phone ring. You say, well, how's that possible? I don't like it. See, it doesn't matter what you like. It matters what appeals to the people that we're trying to appeal to. Specializing in wow. We hate ordinary. Daring, colorful, exciting, artistic, vim, vigor, flair, style, kitchen and bath remodeling. There's not even a picture of a kitchen on this one. If you want the usual conservative kitchen remodeling job, absolutely do not call us. We only do unbelievable. Jaws may drop, neighbors may be envious, people may talk. It just goes with the territory. I've been designing unbelievable kitchens for almost 2 decades now, and the only thing I demand from my customers is a flair for the unusual, a leaning toward the colorful, and a taste for the daring. Or in other words, people who, like me, want a kitchen that reflects their flair for life. Okay? Interesting. Ordinary, everyday, same, tired, mundane, same old kitchens bore us to tears. We specialize in pizzazz. Don't call us if you're looking for the usual. I mean, we can't be more sand line drawing than telling people explicitly in the advertisement, don't call us. It's such a challenge to the intellect that it demands attention and it demands careful consideration, and it excites and interests the people that we're trying to excite and interest. Most kitchen remodeling jobs, dull, boring, expected, stale, yawn, tired, blah. Our kitchen remodeling jobs, colorful, artistic, daring, moxie, exciting, wow. Specializing in awesome since 1987. And you might look at that and say, well, what if somebody wants the normal kitchen? And then we look at them and say, not interested. See, this is called drawing a line in the sand. What do you want to be known for? You want to get referrals for your business? Draw a line in the sand. This one is just trying to be cute. From drowsa to yowza, thinking about kitchen remodeling. As far as I know, I'm the only kitchen remodeler since 1910 who's copper-plated a kitchen ceiling. Whatever your style, we can make it happen. Call for a free design portfolio. What you want: energy, panache, vim and vigor, style, moxie, spunk, verve, daring, unique, flair, vivid, colorful, exciting, out of the box, unusual, yowza, customized, artistic. What you don't want: dull, drab, ordinary. Just get the thesaurus out here. RH Construction. Any garden variety contractor, us versus them. We hate ordinary. Looking for a truly unique home remodeling project. Okay. Now let's look at quality. Okay. So we looked at artistic. How does quality look? Well, are you anxious to get the job done, or are you anxious to get the job done right? Finishing a kitchen remodel job fast is seriously overrated. The remodeling job done right, dang it, don't worry. This crankiness is not directed at my workers, not you. Persnickety, demanding, hard to please, then we're the right remodeler for you. Some say we have OCD. Some say we're perfectionists. They all agree that we are the best, hands down. Most remodelers hate dealing with high-maintenance customers who complain about wanting every little thing a certain way. Those are the only kind I get along with. One time I shut down a remodeling job for 3.5 hours while I scoured 6 different suppliers for the exact right cabinet handles. Meet the most persnickety man in remodeling. Quality. Exactness. If you pay $43,000 for a new kitchen and aren't 1,000% thrilled with the results, don't come crying to me because there's a 0% chance I did the job. Language is powerful. Building confidence with language. We're not the fastest. We are not the cheapest. We are, according to our customers, the best. I could honestly care less if you have a list of 3 remodelers who are cheaper than me. Talk about drawing a line in the sand. Yeah, we're not the cheapest. Not interested. Don't want to be. If that's what you're looking for, please continue looking. Not here. Okay. Now, extensive use of social proof. This is a topic I've covered at length in other webinars, so I'll just cover it briefly here. Let's see here. Let's see how we're doing on time. Yeah, we're going to just cover this very, very briefly. Okay. I like this picture. It comes from the book. Oh, geez, what's the book called? It's right on the tip of my tongue. It starts with an I. By Robert Cialdini. Help me out here, Chad. What is it? I can't remember. I've had an Alzheimer's moment. I'm not even that old. Influence. The Psychology of Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. Influence. This comes out of that book. So the guy's looking up. Everybody else is looking up. After a while, everybody's looking up. They see an angel, and the angel thinks, geez, there must be something going on up there. He looks up. So social proof. People are going to follow the crowd, so to speak. To give more confidence in your character and competence, then they need to validate their trust through third parties. Okay, so the principle of social proof simply says that people are going to shortcut their due diligence by looking at what other people's decisions are. Okay, they're gonna borrow other people's decision-making process to save time. So we want to make that social proof available so that people can see what other people's are saying, what other people's experience was. The more similar the other people are, the more effective it'll be in terms of age, gender, race, socioeconomic situation, geography. Okay, that's why it's a lot more impressive to see a testimonial from somebody that you recognize as living in your neighborhood, in your city, that lives in your type of house, than it is to see some random John L. from Ithaca, and you don't even know where that is, okay? You get the idea. Social proof needs to be as similar to your prospect as possible, okay? The more of them there are, the more effective it'll be. I mean, just go back to this. If you've got a whole crowd of people, then it's going to be more effective, okay? Put customer lists and testimonials in as many places as possible: website, advertisements, emails. Customer list. We're talking about customer references. Email this out to your people that you set appointments with. Say, here's a list of people that have done business with us. Call them. Ask them these following questions. See what they thought about it. Would they use this again if they had to do it all over again? Testimonials, customer reviews, okay? Put it in your presentations. Make a goal to have at least 100 testimonials on your website. Even better, online reviews. Video testimonials are good. Pictures are good. Proactively encourage prospects to call the references. Tell them what to ask, okay? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we have hearsay evidence from the lady who told a friend of her hairdresser, cousin Julie. What more do we need? People believe what they see, not what they hear. So we want to put all this stuff in writing, okay? Put it all in writing. Use props and demonstrations people love. Remember them. That's why we make available the explainer videos, the whiteboard style videos. Bats, blowtorches, steel-toe boots, jumping. What I'm talking about is if you're a window company, hit your windows with bats and blowtorches and steel-toe boots. Show how strong they are. Compare them to your competitors. Make videos. Don't be afraid to destroy your competitors' stuff. Use simple charts, examples of savings, comparison to competitors. Keep the charts simple, okay? We won't go through the will it blend. This is a great example, though, of a video where a guy wants to show how strong his blender is. He takes an iPad, he breaks it in half, he sticks it in the blender and blends it into dust. That's a pretty good demonstration. Think about that in terms of building credibility through demonstrations of whatever it is. See, it's not just blending an iPad because it's cute and funny. It's because the idea, the line in the sand that this blender has made is not that it's the prettiest blender, not that it's the cheapest blender, not that it's the easiest to use blender, but that it's the blender that has the most power. It blends anything, including things that you wouldn't expect would even be attempted to blend, like an iPad, okay? Killing credibility as we wrap up our meeting today. Not doing things we just talked about will kill credibility. That's obviously. However, most of them will not be noticed. People will notice the little things, though. So in other words, people are, if you don't do the things we've talked about so far on this webinar, most people aren't going to realize, hey, where's the credibility? Where's the video showing him blending something or whatnot? But what people will notice are little things. How you interact with them, how your marketing looks. And I say extended, I mean throughout your entire marketing campaign, from your website to your brochures and everything else. How does your marketing look? Communication or lack of communications, doing what you say, following through, going the extra mile or not going the extra mile. People are going to notice these things, and these are credibility killers, okay? So as we end up here, we're going to talk about treating people right. This is the video that I was telling you about from Lonesome Dove. I know it's a little bit choppy when I show it on a webinar, but there's not enough action happening here that it's going to be that hard to follow. So let's just watch this for fun. This is about respecting your customers. Now, by way of setting the stage a little bit, the two cowboys that walk in this video clip are the two main characters in the movie Lonesome Dove. And they're older, they're retired, but in their day, you know, a couple of decades before, these were some of the greatest Texas Rangers. They were famous, everybody knew them, and they had done a great service to the state of Texas. And now, when they walk into the bar, a little bit older, they don't get the respect that they feel like they deserve, and this is how they deal with it.
What I like about the man, he's a philosopher.
Oh, yeah. I hired him to give you somebody to talk to. Don't free the rest of the stuff, baby. Get a little work done.
I like a shot of whiskey, and so does my companion. It ain't too much trouble. Howdy, boy. You got a good game going there? Who the hell's that? You got mud in your ears or what? Friar, what'll it be, old timer? Rye will do, provided it gets here quick.
Darn cowboys ought to prove yourselves off before you walk in here. Get all the sand we need without the customers bringing it in.
That'll be $1. Now, besides the whiskey, I think will require a little respect. I'm Captain Augustus McCrae. This is Captain Woodrow F. Call. Now, if you care to turn around, you can see how we looked when we was younger. The people around here wanted to make us senator. Now, the thing we didn't put up with then was dawdling service. And as you can see, we still don't put up with it. Now then, if I could have a fresh glass, please.
You just broke my nose, you old son of a...
sunny slopes long ago. I wonder whatever happened.
Okay. Well, just a fun video to end up the webinar today. Treating people right, right? If you don't treat people right, I'm not saying you don't treat people right, but sometimes it just comes off as not right, depending on the interaction. Just keep that in mind. Think about it. And, hey, if you want to go break a bartender's nose, be my guest. You deserve the respect, and so do your customers. That's it for today. Thanks so much for attending. We'll talk to you next time. I believe we've got another webinar next week, so we'll see you there. Bye now.